because you'd have had to brought in, my God, how much army.
But for instance,
You know.
it seemed that, I mean, perhaps I'm wrong, but it seemed that in places like Detroit that there was much more some kind of general involvement in the ghetto when you got here.
Same thing.
Was it?
Same thing. If you want to listen to the news media, you know, you go, wow. Of course, they had so much older construction. And they had...
Well, everything was crammed in.
Right,
Yeah.
and the fire thing is the biggest thing that you saw in Detroit when you analyzed it, too. And the structures were much older and more susceptible to fire and spreading because they were so close together, and all these sorts of things. But this is a misnomer. There never has been over probably 1% involved in this violence, 1 or 2% at the most. Heaven forbid, if there had been more than that, what would we have done?
Could you make any kind of estimate at all how many people were involved in Memphis? Was it even that high, 1%?
No, I don't think it would be when you got, if you could really figure it out. To the total community, no, it would be less than 1%, I'm sure, because
Or even to the black man?
probably 700, 800 arrests for the whole thing, you know. This is what you're talking about, and that's including the 100 or so, you know, that wanted to be arrested and things like that.
I want to ask another...
But that's the bad thing. You see, when it comes out, it don't come out that way, you know.
Well, that's why I was trying to ask, because the papers, the stories of the papers, of course, in that period are, you know, they say there were 65 injuries, and you have to read quite a bit farther to break it down, and a number of the injuries were people bruised on the arm, that kind of thing. So
well, this is what you're talking about. There was a total of 1, 2, 3, 4 people killed, I think, during the entire thing, including Dr. King. I think this is a fairly accurate figure. During those months of period right there, that's what you're really talking about. People were injured running, trying to get out of the mess, flying, the blacks injured black people, throwing rocks at windows and stuff like that, all sorts of things, you know. But as far as actual confrontations, you didn't have this many.
how about things like the fire bombings, like the Loeb? There was definitely a concerted effort to embarrass the Loeb name.
Oh, I think so, yes. I think there were several of his places hit
Was
during
this
time.
planned, do you think, or does this just,
No,
once you get this going and they see that
you
name
know, Loeb
Loeb,
is the mayor, and he's the red flag, and so anything with Loeb on it, you know,
This
just kind of drifts down.
this even made the New York papers, that one of the stories that they said sometime during the strike, they mentioned that Loeb, that William Loeb had put signs in his windows saying, "I don't like Henry either."
Well, it wasn't that. I think he put signs in there that said, Henry Loeb has no interest in this business, or something
Yes,
like that. I think it was a little
yeah,
milder
yeah,
than that.
that's the media for you.
But that didn't. Those are not really big factors. If anybody wanted to kill Henry Loeb, they could have killed him, you know, during that strike, because he was all over town and out in the open. There's no possible way that if you have any intelligent people that want to assassinate somebody, that they can do it in this country. You can't prevent it. I don't care what you do, unless you put them in a steel box. And a politician can't afford a steel
It
box.
stands to reason that anyone, if you have anyone who's willing to give his life in exchange for taking another person's life,
A
he can do it.
well-conceived plan by intelligent people, and of course an idiot like James Earl Ray can do it too. If he can just shoot, you know, that's the thing, and it's easier for him to do it. If you have an organized effort, the chances are you're going to get some feedback. You're going to get some information on an organized effort.
This is totally beside the point, but I really have the feeling that I would so hate to see Ted Kennedy even be nominated for president. It's just such a temptation for this strange mind that says it would be so neat. You know, threes of charm. You can just imagine all sorts of
After
things.
the Chappaquiddick answer, what would he do if we had problems? Jump in the Potomac and swim across and lose his memory? Oh, come on!
And I don't think he would survive the campaign. Just the attraction for.
For heaven forbid an individual like him. I couldn't buy him at all. He's the phoniest liberal I've ever seen in my life.
Well, it would be too much. But,
a man that come up with a story as he did, and that thing, why that's...
Of course, that must have been a strange place to have been the police chief.
He got caught with his hand in a cookie jar, you know.
Yeah.
And,
I'm very touchy about candidates, and I was supporting Muskie all the way. A born loser.
Yeah.
well, out of the group, I think he might have been the best in the final.
I really kind of liked him. When King left Memphis then, the next day, did you have any feelings yourself about that he would have to come back in and lead a peaceful march, or did the national implications of what had happened here, did that come into your thinking at all? There he was heading toward Washington.
Yes, it very much did, because I think that, and of course, my theory of nonviolent peaceful marches had already been formed at this point in time.
That it's in,
That
as you stated earlier.
It's an impossibility to hold one to begin with, you know, because you don't know who you're going to get. And I think that if he had not have been killed, he might have eventually been discredited unless he had turned to a different tactic.
Well, let me ask then, do you think that if he had not been killed and if he had, let's say, he had gone ahead and led a march, even though there was an injunction against him, as he said he would.
Weren't hearing.
Yeah, but we set some rules up for that thing, you know.
Do you
march
think
came
Everybody
after.
probably would have gone.
Do you think it could have gone successfully here? I mean, that you would, in other words, you would have been so well prepared, and
Well,
King and his people and everyone would have been so well prepared.
Well,
that
now
they
this
would have
depended.
presented it.
This depended on one thing.